Ja, einen schönen guten Abend. Schön, dass ihr wieder beim Tod und Teufel Metal Podcast eingeschaltet habt. Wir haben hier heute Abend wieder eine besondere Kooperation mit dem Festival Stalker und wir werden euch die supergeile progressive Death Metal Band Fallujah präsentieren. Und ihr könnt euch jetzt gleich schon mal auf unseren Interviewpartner freuen. Wir haben das Ganze in Englisch gemacht, damit wir uns hier vernünftig unterhalten können. Daher viel Freude dabei und ich sag mal bis später. Okay, mate. Now I'm going to start this interview in English. Hello, Kyle. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Okay. It would be really nice if you could introduce yourself to our viewers at first.
Sure, yeah. My name is Kyle, and I sing for the band Fallujah. I've been in the band for about 3 or 4 years now, and we have a new album coming out this summer, so we're excited to be here talking about that.
Okay, that's really nice. And I could promise we will talk about this new output later. But at first, it would be nice if you could introduce yourself as a musician. What was your first step into the heavy metal music?
Sure, yeah. I've been doing music for a pretty long time now. Well before I was in Fallujah, I've played in other projects. Nothing as well known as Fallujah, nothing that was touring like Fallujah does. Um, but I I guess despite being a metal fan for my whole time loving music, I actually started out playing in other genres. I was in an indie rock band before that. I used to make all kinds of like instrumental music on my own. Um, Eventually, I started a sort of progressive rock, progressive metal project called Archaeologist. That's kind of my solo project that I've been doing for about 10 years now. Sometimes we play live as a full band, sometimes it's solo. It's kind of my project to do whatever I want. But Since joining Fallujah a few years ago, that's become my main focus. Obviously, Fallujah is a very established band with a lot of responsibilities. Fallujah is definitely my main project nowadays. But Yeah, that was sort of my route into it. It's Fallujah is actually the heaviest band I've been a part of, the most death metal. It's been
Okay.
fun adapting to that over the last couple of years because I've always loved this style of music. My favorite band is Meshuggah, has been Meshuggah
Okay.
for a long time, but it's it's nice getting to play much heavier music like this nowadays because I've always loved this style.
That's really nice. So, did I get it right, Kyle, that Meshuggah was one of the first musical impressions you made in the past?
Um, I guess for it took me a while actually to get into that. I started with more I guess like mainstream metal bands. I think when I was first getting into metal, I liked bands like Metallica, of course, but like bands like Avenged Sevenfold, um sort of more like mainstream rock and metal bands and sort of
Yeah.
worked my way into the heavier stuff from there. The more progressive metal, getting into bands like Opeth, Meshuggah, Cynic, bands like that. Yeah, definitely started from a more, like mainstream sort of, as many people do, right? You're young and you find these, you hear Metallica for the first time, something like that sort of sets you in this direction.
And what was the first Metallica output you heard?
It was the Black Album.
The Black
Yeah.
Album.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
from the 90s.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
It was Injustice for All for me, the first
Okay.
output I heard with my father. And I guess the song one was so catchy, so I got my way also into the metal scene with bands like you too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about you as a musician. So you do the vocals for Fallujah. Do you play also an instrument or?
Yeah, yeah, I've so in Fallujah I do the vocals and I also since I've joined I've been doing all of the like synths and keyboards and like programming that stuff type of stuff as well. But I actually play guitar and I've been playing guitar for longer than I've been doing vocals actually. I'm definitely not I'm not at the level of Fallujah's guitarists, Scott and Sam. I
Yeah.
can't play that stuff, but I've learned a lot of the Fallujah riffs on guitar. sometimes on Twitch. We all stream live on Twitch, and sometimes on there for fun, I'll pick up the guitar and look at the Fallujah tab books, and try to learn Fallujah riffs as well.
Nice.
So I don't play guitar for us, but I do write full songs like for my other project, Archaeologist, and I'm used to, doing everything in the song. So it's nice when I'm working with the Fallujah guys, like to be involved with the instrumentals as well, like from a perspective of talking about song structures and chord
Yeah.
progression and things like that. Um, so I'll leave for Fallujah, I'll leave the guitar playing to the to the pros, but yeah,
Yeah.
I've been playing guitar for a very long time, and I like having some input on that as well, just in terms of like choices and things like that.
I guess it's a big advantage if you play also an instrument, because you're absolutely right. You've got a different view on the song structure, and I think you can hear it on your new output, but we will talk about it later.
Sure.
Um, um, could you tell us a really remarkable moment, for example, of a big live show, a big impression for you as a musician you made before?
Sure. Yeah, so I've been playing shows for a long time, like before I joined Fallujah with other projects, but I never toured. It was always like local band type of
Yeah,
projects. Um, so it's like I was used to being on stage, but with Fallujah, we've done a wide range of different shows. Like we've gotten to open for some bigger tours or headline some of our own tours. One that I remember feeling pretty remarkable was when we went to Australia with Cattle Decapitation about a year and a
nice.
half ago. That was an amazing tour, and th it was also the biggest shows I've played. Like we played some big venues on that tour, and yeah, definitely felt special playing, to well over 1,000 people on the other side of the world, with
Yeah, that's
a
so
great band like
amazing.
Cattle Decapitation. I
Yeah,
remember that feeling pretty special. And that tour also, like when we tour in the States, we normally travel in our van. We like to keep costs low. We have our old, super old van that we just sort of
yeah,
drive ourselves around. But in Australia, the cities are all sort of far apart, so we were flying from show to show, so it's like kind of feels like a rock star tour.
yeah, for sure.
Get on a flight every day, fly somewhere and play a big show. So, that felt pretty different from the shows I grew up playing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. It felt a little bit like Flight 666, like
Yeah,
Iron Maiden, mate.
exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Um, could you tell us also something about the new release, which is going to come on 13th of June, if I get it right?
Yeah, yeah. So the new Fallujah album is called Xenotaph. It's our sixth album, and yeah, it's coming this June on Nuclear Blast Records.
Troubling mountain within.
Very excited to release this one for a couple of reasons. Like, every band is always excited for their new music, but to me
For
this one is
sure.
very special for a few reasons. Um, so okay, one thing is that so this is my second album with Fallujah, but when I joined the band, the band was already working on the previous album, Empyrean. So when I joined, like I was able to write all my own lyrics and have my own parts in it, but it was like I came in to help finish this project that the band already had a vision for. So I was like, okay, let's get this job done that, these guys already started. And I love how that album came out. But this one, we got to sit down together from the very beginning. So like from the minute the first guitar riff was written for the album, I was there sitting with Scott, and like going back and forth on ideas and sort of influencing things. And for this one, we had a very clear vision together as a group. So it was
Nice.
exciting being a part of that from the very first stages. And I feel like building on the previous album too, like, that album, I was the new guy coming in. I was like, okay, I don't want to mess this up. I want it to sound like Fallujah. I want to, I was very conscious of fitting into this band that already, was established. And like, I was coming in as the new guy, didn't want to ruin anything. But now, like, having been in the band for a few years and just having so much experience touring with the band now and just understanding the music on a very deep level. Like this one, I felt very confident going in and just sort of doing whatever I want with the music. I was like, I know exactly what sort of album I want to make, and I know how that can fit in with everything. Um, but yeah, I feel like I feel very connected to this album because I was so involved from the whole process of it. And in addition to that, it's a concept album, so it's my first time
Ah,
doing that. There's a whole story that the lyrics tell all the way through, and the whole time we were writing this album, we were always thinking in terms of the flow of the full album from beginning to end. So to me, all the songs really go together and tell a story and have a certain flow throughout. So that's for that reason, I'm very excited for people to hear the whole album and not just one or two of the singles. I think people will be able to tell that it's one cohesive piece of music.
really nice. You told me now that you have got a concept behind
Mm.
your lyrics. Is it possible to talk about that point,
Yeah,
about
yeah.
the
So it,
concept?
yeah, absolutely. So it tells a story all the way through, and basically, I wanted to write something in the realm of like sort of science fiction, sort of genre, I guess,
Okay.
with the feeling of the story. But I also wanted to write something that felt personal and emotional. Something that had lyrics that people can actually connect with. And that was the task I set out to achieve with this album. And so the story that I came up with that fits into that sort of idea is it basically tells this story of this character who's the narrator in the story. It begins at the moment of this person's death when they basically wake up in like an afterlife sort of dimension. But rather than being anything like heaven or hell or what people traditionally imagine, instead it's this strange new world that's like totally beyond anything anybody could ever imagine. It's like way beyond regular human senses. It's like a full alien sort of dimension. And I basically we chose the artwork for the album very early on into the process. And so if you've
Okay.
seen the album cover, it's like this celestial, angelic being in this like beautiful space sort of world. I basically imagined that as part of the story and built around that. So to me, it's like this character wakes up in this other world, and the album cover is what he sees when he wakes up after death and meets this figure, this like angelic guide, basically, who communicates with him and takes him on a journey through this strange world. And there's a lot of things that happen. There's this whole theme of like this person letting go of their past life and becoming very attached to this new elevated plane of existence. But then the twist, because we wanted this to be a death metal album and not just something beautiful and happy the whole time, um, there's a twist further on through the album where it becomes revealed that basically everything I just described has been a lie and an illusion, and this character isn't even dead. And rather than dying and meeting an angel, what's actually happening is that this being is like some sort of parasite that has gotten into this person's mind, convinced them that they've died and gone to some beautiful world when really it's keeping this person trapped in some sort of dream state. You know, they're asleep or in a coma or something. And it's basically a demon or parasite that's trying to get them to willingly stay in their own mind and be trapped here forever. And at the end of the story, the character escapes and breaks out, wakes up back in the real world, having survived this crazy journey where they thought they were dead and would never come back. And it sort of ends on this note where they are wondering if it was real or not, but it's at the same time they experienced all of these crazy things that no person could ever imagine. And wondering like they've survived, but they wonder if you really do go there when you die, if this thing's gonna come back to get them later. So it's a pretty complex and like layered sort of story, but that's the idea of it. This like afterlife journey that ends up being an illusion and sort of the complicated thoughts that come from that.
Really nice concept, mate.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks.
do you have got any science fiction influence or impact for you as a vocalist here?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. All of us in the band, we all love science fiction. Like it's something that when I first met the guys and we started talking, we realized we had some of the same favorite movies and favorite sort of media within the genre. So like the Dune series was very
Nice.
influential to me. Not like in an obvious way. Like it's Dune is about people on this sand planet and all that. Like none of that
Yeah,
stuff in the story, but there's a lot that I took from Dune in terms of the way that the Dune books describe these certain like psychedelic experiences and the way that some of the characters have these like linked memories to their past. And it's like it's nothing obvious, but I was literally reading the Dune books while I was writing the lyrics. Like I would go downstairs and read a chapter, go upstairs and write some lyrics, and then back and forth. So it definitely influenced my mindset and some of my ideas for the concepts.
really cool. Will there be a vinyl release available? Because I guess it's really important for many fans to have a big layout in your hands and to read the lyrics.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're doing a vinyl release from Nuclear Blast, and yeah, we made sure to give it the nice packaging, so it opens up and you have the whole layout with all the lyrics. So yeah, absolutely. I think especially for an album like this where it's the lyrics are such a big part of it, we
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that people are able to access that.
Can you tell something about the musical process? How did you record the new release?
Yeah, so it was produced, or I should say, it was mixed and mastered by Dave Otero, who
Okay.
it's our first time working with him. He's worked with a lot of great technical metal bands like Archspire, Cattle Decapitation, the Zenith Passage, Aborted, a bunch of great technical metal bands. But we actually recorded almost everything at home in our own studios. Like I
Nice.
recorded it. You can't see it, but just off the camera, I have a little crappy homemade vocal booth here where I recorded the whole album and recorded all the guitars at home, recorded bass at home, and basically just sent all of the tracks to Dave for him to mix and master. So it was kind of nice getting to record at home because I got a lot of time to like sit on my recordings and think about them, and change things if I wanted before sending them in. Like as opposed to if you're recording in the studio, sometimes you fly there and you have 1 week to record all the vocals, and it's like
Yeah.
you run out of time and you say, that's it,
It's
we're
a
done.
pressure. It's a pressure
There's a
for.
pressure, yeah. Which is in some ways that can be good. We did that for the previous album and I did enjoy that. Like it's we worked with a different producer named Mark Lewis for the last album before this one. And he's a great producer. He had great input on what I was doing with the vocals, kind of coaching while you're
Yeah.
recording. So that can be nice too. But I think for this album, I knew exactly what I wanted to do beforehand. And I was like, I just need enough time to develop my own ideas for this one. And I knew what I was trying to achieve. So it was nice having the time and sort of space to like work at my own pace at home on this. I'm very happy with how it all came out.
Do you have got a classical rehearsal room?
No, not really. Yeah, we all have our little just sort of bedroom studios at home. Um, and we will when we go on tour, we'll meet up to rehearse before the tour. Like we'll rent
Okay.
rehearsal space. But that's the only time we practice together. If we hang out all the time. Like we both of our guitarists live in the same city that I live in. They live about 5 minutes away, so I see Scott and
Nice.
Sam all the time. And we'll meet up to write music. But as far as rehearsal, everybody kind of does their own homework. And then right before we go on tour, we'll meet up for maybe 2 or 3 days and rehearse.
I guess it's going to be the future of music producing to make it available for people to record at home, because
Mm,
if you're going to compare it nowadays, the prices for good USB interface, um, it's going to be available for a big mass of people
totally.
nowadays.
Yeah,
And what
100%.
program do you use at home?
I use Logic on my
Ah,
Mac.
nice,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And could you be so kind to tell us how did you join Fallujah?
Sure. Yeah, good question. Um, so the when I joined Fallujah, I hadn't met anybody in the band yet. The only connection we had was I mentioned my other project called Archaeologist.
Mm,
Uh, Years ago, I was working on a release for Archaeologist, and I had a full band lineup at one moment of time, like for this. So we were working on an Archaeologist release as a band, and I sort of I had heard of Fallujah because we were from the same area. Like a lot of my friends liked Fallujah, and I was like, yeah,
mm,
that band's pretty cool. I don't know them very well, but like, yeah, a cool band. I hadn't really gotten into, hadn't really dug into very far. But the bassist in my band loved Fallujah. That was like his favorite band. And he convinced me that on this song, I wanted to have a guest solo spot. I actually wrote the guest solo spot for somebody else from a different band. But when that guy couldn't do it, my bassist was like, get Scott from Fallujah. There's this amazing guitarist in this band Fallujah named Scott, and like we should get him on the song. And I was like, all right, I don't really know their music very well, but like I'll trust you. We'll do the guy that you want to get. We'll get this guy from Fallujah. So he convinced me, and I got in touch with Scott online, and we hired him to do, just paid him to do a guest feature, just as a featured artist, and that was it. We released that song, but then a few years after that, Scott reached out to me, and he over Facebook Messenger, and he was like, "Did you do the vocals on that song that I played on a few years ago?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, why? Why do you ask? You know? I had talked to him online a few times, friendly conversation, but like I'd never even met him in person. Um, and he asked me that, and then he sort of explained that Fallujah was, looking for a new vocalist, and they weren't publicly doing auditions, but he had reached out to some people about auditioning, and so I just took it from there. He asked me to record some stuff. He asked me to write some of my own parts over some tracks that ended up being on the previous album, Empyrean. Um, and yeah, just worked out from there. So it was just this online thing. We met up and basically immediately went to record that album, Empyrean, before we had played a single show together. And then
Wow.
and then toured after that, which was kind of a weird process too, because normally like with our we have a new guitarist in the band named Sam. I mean, he's been in the band for over a year now, but like he's on this new album for the first time. Like when he joined the band, we had him play live with us first. That's kind of the normal process, like you have somebody fill in for a tour, and
Mm,
it's lower commitment, like if it goes well, maybe you keep touring, maybe you join the band, but it's if not, no big deal. It's kind of a more casual commitment as opposed to like being permanently on an album. So like with Sam, we started touring with him. We're like, oh, this guy's great. Let's make him official in the band. For me, it was sort of a leap of faith, I think, for Fallujah to make me an official member without even playing a show. For all they know, I was gonna, blow all the live performances, but it ended up working out. I think we just had a good feeling about it, and really liked the way that we were able to connect on the writing for that album.
so did I get it right? That you like to play live shows, or do you say that you like to be the more the part more in the background?
Yeah, I love playing live shows. I love being at shows and meeting everybody. I do merch for us too normally. I kind of insist on
Nice.
doing merch for us because I enjoy it, you know. So I like running the merch table and meeting all our friends and fans and everything. Um, yeah, I love it. Like to me, the albums are still the most important thing. Like that is the actual like piece of art that lasts forever. And so to me, that's like the most important. But shows are the next most important thing, and I love playing live shows.
Really cool. So, is it possible to see you this year in Europe?
We're working on some plans for Europe. It might not be this year. It might be early next year, maybe.
Okay.
No, can't say yet, but yeah, we're working on plans. We love coming to Europe, and we'll come back as soon as we can. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
hope to see you
can.
guys in Germany.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely come to Germany for sure.
That's really nice, mate.
Yeah,
We have got a tradition here at the Tod und Teufel Metal Podcast, and the last words are always for our guests. So I would like to give you the last words now.
sure. Um, yeah, basically, we've obviously said it a few times, but our new album is coming out in June. We're very excited about that. We have two singles out so far, and we have one more single coming very soon. So for anybody listening, we would just ask you to check out the new songs, let us know what you think. Pre-order the album because that helps us so much, getting those pre-order sales in. It makes our band look good. If we get a lot of
Yeah.
pre-orders, helps us get good tours. Um, but yeah, just thank you to everybody that's listened and can't wait to share the full album with you all.
Thank you so much, Kyle. So, um, have a nice evening, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Stellen alles vor aus dieser Mitte